Let me ask you something personal. What does your morning actually feel like right now? Not what it should feel like. Not what you tell people it feels like. What does it genuinely feel like when that alarm goes off and the day begins demanding things from you? For most people, and be honest with yourself here, the first 20 minutes of the day are a negotiation between the body that is not quite ready and the day that does not care. The coffee helps, but even after the first cup, there is often still a gap, a lag, a version of yourself that is present but not quite fully arrived. You are awake, but you are not yet you. Now here is the question worth sitting with. What if that gap was not just tiredness? What if it was your body telling you something? That it received the caffeine, but not the support, the stimulant, but not the substance, the activation, but not the foundation that makes the activation last? What if two small things, added to the cup you are already making, could change not just how you feel in the first 20 minutes of the day, but how you feel at 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, and at the end of the day when you ask yourself what you have left? Arab physicians figured this out centuries ago, and the morning they were building for themselves, for their patients, for the coffee houses where the greatest thinkers of their era gathered, was a different morning from the one most of us are settling for. This is Clove coffee, and the 7 mornings ahead of you are going to change how you think about the first cup of the day forever. You already drink coffee every morning. You already have a ritual, a cup, a routine, a few minutes that belong to you before the day claims everything else. But here is something worth considering. When did coffee become something you do to function, rather than something that actually makes you feel good? Now here is what the Arab world figured out a very long time ago. In Yemen, one of the oldest coffee cultures on Earth, the birthplace of the global coffee trade, the morning drink was never just coffee. It was Qishr, coffee brewed with spices, warm, deep, medicinal, and energizing at the same time. Not because it tasted more interesting, but because the people who drank it every morning felt different from the people who did not. Their mornings had more in them. Their afternoons held longer. Their energy was not borrowed. And the physicians of that world, who studied the body with the same intensity and care that modern researchers study it today, understood that what you added to the cup changed what the cup did to the body. The spice they were adding does something to you that coffee alone never will. And here is what makes this specific to you, reading this right now. The benefits that 7 days of this morning ritual produce are not subtle. People who try it, who commit to it for 1 week, describe the same thing consistently. The morning changes. And then, because the morning changes, the whole day begins to change with it. More energy that does not crash. A focus that feels clean rather than borrowed. A body that arrives at the afternoon with something left in it. You deserve a morning like that. And you are already making the coffee. All you need to add is 2 small things. The spice has been in your kitchen, probably forgotten at the back of a spice rack, used once for a recipe, and not thought about since. It is small, dark, almost nail-shaped, with a scent so distinct and powerful that a single one of them can change the smell of a room. It is one of the most traded commodities in human history. Wars were fought over it. Islands were colonized for it. Sailors crossed entire oceans to find its source. And it has been added to coffee, the most consumed morning beverage on Earth, by cultures who understood that the combination was something greater than the sum of its parts. It is the clove. And what happens when you add 2 of them to your morning coffee every day for 7 days is something most people have never tried, despite owning the ingredient right now. If this is already making you think about that spice rack differently, subscribe right now. Because what clove coffee does to your mornings, your energy, your focus, and your body is something this channel was made to tell you. And there is a lot more coming that you do not want to miss. Here is where this story begins. And it begins with a ritual, not a recipe. In Yemen, centuries ago, the traditional morning preparation was not rushed, it was deliberate. Cloves, ginger, and coffee prepared together with intention. Consumed before the day's work began, not to get through the morning, to arrive at it properly. The coffee houses of the medieval Arab world were not just places to drink. They were the intellectual centers of one of the most advanced civilizations of their era. Philosophers, physicians, poets, and mathematicians gathered in them. And the drink that was served, the one that accompanied the thinking and the conversation and the work, was spiced. Because the people who built those spaces understood something that most of us have lost. The morning drink is not just fuel. It is preparation, and what you put in it determines what kind of day you are preparing for. Ancient Chinese emperors required anyone who addressed them to hold a clove in their mouth first, not as ceremony alone, as a recognition that this small spice did something to the breath, the clarity, the state of presence a person brought to an important conversation. In ancient India, cloves were classified as one of only a handful of spices that could balance all 3 fundamental energies of the body simultaneously. In practice, this meant one thing. People who consumed them felt better across the board, more energized, more settled, more capable of sustaining focus and physical presence through a long day. Medieval plague doctors filled their masks with cloves because they believed it helped protect them during outbreaks. They were observing something real. They just didn't have the word Eugenol. Every one of these traditions, in every one of these cultures, was circling the same observation. This spice changes what you are capable of. And the morning, the first cup, the first 20 minutes, the foundation from which everything else follows, is exactly when to use it. Here is the science, kept simple. Because what matters is not the name of the compound. What matters is what it means for your day. Cloves contain the highest antioxidant activity of any commonly used food, higher than blueberries, higher than dark chocolate, higher than green tea. What that means for you, practically, is that every morning cup of clove coffee is giving your body one of the most powerful, natural tools it has for reducing the internal wear that accumulates across a busy, stressful modern life. The active compound in cloves works on inflammation the way a mild pain reliever works, through the same biological pathway without the side effects. What that means for your body is that the low-level stiffness, the joint discomfort, the physical friction that most people carry through the day and have stopped noticing because it has always been there, begins to quiet. Not immediately, cumulatively, day by day, morning by morning. Cloves also stabilize blood sugar, which means the energy you feel after the morning cup does not spike and crash the way caffeine alone produces. It runs steadier, longer, more usefully. And here is the part that makes the coffee combination specifically interesting. Coffee enhances the absorption of the clove's active compounds. The two were combined by Arab physicians not only for tradition, but because they observed that together they worked better than either alone. Modern research has confirmed this. The morning cup is not just a vehicle for the cloves. It is an amplifier for them. That is the science. Simple. Connected to what it means for your energy, your focus, your day. Now here is what actually happens day by day when you make this ritual yours. So we decided to pay attention the way the ancient world paid attention. Not with blood tests or tracking apps, just with the body, and with 7 mornings. 2 whole cloves added to the coffee grounds before brewing. Same coffee, same time, same routine. One small addition that has been part of morning culture across the Arabian Peninsula for centuries. And here is what we noticed. Day 1. The first morning, the cup is different before you finish it. Coffee warmth arrives first, familiar, immediate. Then, rising behind it, something older, a deeper warmth. Slightly spiced, slightly resinous, spreading through the throat and chest in a way that regular coffee does not reach. The sinuses begin to respond almost immediately. Some people notice the breath changing. The body feels more awake than usual, not more jittery, more genuinely present. You put the cup down and the morning feels different, not dramatically, but differently enough to notice. Day 2. The lag that usually separates the alarm from actual readiness is shorter. You arrive at the morning faster. The coffee still helps, but the clove is doing something in addition, something that stays longer than the caffeine does. Some people notice that the mid-morning reach for a second cup, the habitual reinforcement that says the first one is fading, arrives later, or not at all. Day 3. Digestion is settling. The morning cup is doing something to the gut environment that regular coffee does not do. Some people notice less bloating through the day. Meals resolve more cleanly. Others notice that their breath is different, cleaner, staying cleaner. Something is shifting in the body's internal environment. Not dramatic, but real and noticeable. Day 4. The afternoon is different. The hour between 2 and 4 that most people manage with a second coffee, or a snack, or sheer determination, arrives more manageably. The blood sugar stabilizing effect of 4 mornings of clove coffee is beginning to express itself not in a blood test, but in a body that does not need rescuing by midday. Some people describe it as the afternoon belonging to them in a way it did not last week. And strangely, that wasn't the biggest change. That arrived 2 mornings later. Day 5. Physical ease. People who carry chronic, low-level tension in the jaw, in the shoulders, in the lower back, begin to notice it has softened slightly, not gone. Softer. Some people notice that joints that usually protest the morning are quieter. Others notice that the stiffness that used to accompany waking has less to say. 7 days is not enough to reverse years of inflammation, but it is enough to change the direction. Day 6. Focus. Clear, sustained, unexpectedly good focus. Many people describe day 6 as the day where the mental effects become most apparent, not the brittle alertness that crashes after 2 hours. Something more even, more durable, more connected to actual thinking than just the feeling of being awake. The morning feels more productive. The ideas move better. The work that used to require the third coffee to complete finds a way through on the first. Day 7. The full picture. On the 7th morning, most people describe a quality in the day that has become the new reference point. The morning is better, not from the outside, from the inside. The body arrives at the day with more in it, more warmth, more steadiness, more actual readiness. And then they make their 8th cup, because the 7th morning made it obvious that this was not a 7-day experiment. It was the start of a practice. The timeline tracks the days. The science names the compounds. But what this ritual could actually mean for you, for the version of you that maintains it, not just for 7 mornings, but across weeks, months, a year, is what this section is about. Because the ancient world did not use this for 7 days and then stop. They used it every morning, for a lifetime. And they watched what that lifetime looked like. More energy that is actually yours, not borrowed from caffeine, not manufactured from sugar, generated by a body that is receiving consistent support every morning before the demands of the day begin. Many people who maintain this ritual describe over weeks a quality of energy that feels fundamentally different from what they had before. Not higher, more reliable. More like the body is producing rather than spending. You may find, over time, that the afternoons that used to cost you start giving something back. Focus that shows up when you need it. The compound in cloves that protects brain cells from oxidative stress works cumulatively. What happens in the brain across consistent weeks of morning clove coffee is not dramatic, but it is real. Many people describe a quality of mental clarity that was not there before. Less fog, more access to the thinking that mattered. The work that felt effortful begins to feel more like something the mind is capable of on its own terms. A digestive system that cooperates. The gut is where so much of what we feel, the mood, the energy, the immune resilience, originates. Cloves have been trusted across generations for their effect on the gut environment. People who maintain this ritual consistently report better digestion, less bloating, and a general sense of the stomach being an ally rather than a distraction. When the gut is running well, the whole day feels different. That is not a metaphor. It is a biological reality. Better recovery from hard workouts, from stress, from the accumulated demands of everyday life. Many people describe, over months of this ritual, a sense that they bounce back faster than they used to. The body is receiving anti-inflammatory support every morning. It is not spending as much energy managing its own chronic burden. And the energy it frees up goes somewhere, into recovery, into resilience, into the capacity to meet the next demand from a fuller reserve. Skin that reflects what is happening inside. The antioxidant activity of cloves working against the oxidative stress that ages the skin, not applied topically, but delivered systemically through your morning cup every day, adds up over time. Many people describe, across months of consistent use, a quality in the skin that their external routine cannot fully account for. Clearer, steadier, more alive. Because what the skin reflects is what the body is doing on the inside. And a body receiving daily antioxidant, anti-inflammatory support shows it. A calmer, more even emotional baseline. This is the change people least expect and most value. Not a mood boost. Something more structural. The gut-brain connection means that a gut environment that is consistently supported communicates better with the brain. The inflammation that had been running in the background, quietly affecting mood, patience, and emotional resilience, begins to quiet. Many people describe feeling more steady, more able to meet the day from a settled place, less easily displaced by the small frustrations that used to accumulate into larger ones. Vitality is sawati, not as a concept, but as a feeling. This is what the Arab physicians who built this ritual were giving their patients. Not a longer list of supplement compounds, not a complicated protocol. One small ritual, every morning, before the day began. And what they were giving them, what the ritual was building, one cup at a time, was a body that operated from a fuller reserve, that aged more slowly, not because anything was being forced, but because the daily burden of inflammation and oxidative wear was being met every morning with something real. This is not a promise. This is a possibility. But it is the possibility that 500 years of morning rituals in Yemen and India and the Arab world were quietly documenting. And it is sitting in your spice rack right now. Your body is capable of more repair and restoration than most people realize. The morning cup is not just the beginning of the day. It is the most direct access you have to what the rest of the day becomes. The classic preparation: add 2 to 3 whole cloves to your coffee grounds or filter before brewing. Brew as normal. The hot water extracts the active compounds from the cloves during the brewing process. The flavor is subtle, a warm, slightly spiced depth beneath the coffee that most people find pleasant from the first cup. For a stronger effect, lightly crush the cloves before adding them. This releases more of the active compounds into the water during brewing. The flavor and the effect are both more pronounced. Ground cloves in ground coffee. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves per cup to your ground coffee before brewing. This creates a fully integrated preparation, the closest to the traditional Yemeni Qishr. More consistent flavor through every sip. The Qishr method: brew strong coffee with 2 whole cloves and a small piece of fresh ginger. Add a pinch of ground cardamom. Do not add sugar if you can avoid it. The blood sugar benefit works best without immediately countering it. This is the traditional Arab preparation and the most complete version of this ritual. It is also, for most people, extraordinarily good. Timing: first thing in the morning, before food, if possible. This is when the active compounds absorb most effectively and when the liver and digestive system are most ready to receive them. Clove coffee in the amounts described, 2 to 3 cloves per cup, is safe for most people. People on blood-thinning medication should note that cloves have mild anticoagulant properties. Speak with a healthcare provider if you are on such medication. People scheduled for surgery are typically advised to stop significant clove consumption 1 to 2 weeks beforehand. Those monitoring blood sugar should be aware that cloves may lower it. If you are on diabetic medication, monitor your glucose if adding this as a daily practice. Start with 1 clove if you are new to this. Let the body adjust for a few days before adding more. The goal is a practice that sustains across months, not a maximum dose that lasts 3 days. You already make the cup every morning, without fail. The ritual is already there. All that is missing is 2 small additions that have been part of morning culture across some of the greatest civilizations in human history, added with intention for a reason. Because the people who developed this practice understood something most of us have forgotten. The morning is not just the start of the day. It is the preparation for everything the day will ask of you. And a morning that begins with something that supports the energy, the focus, the digestion, the body's resilience, is a morning from which everything else follows differently. The ancient Arab physicians who developed this ritual were not giving their patients a supplement. They were giving them a better morning. And through the morning, a better day. And through the day, a better life. That is what this channel is here for. Not to teach you the names of compounds, to show you the simple habits, the ancient rituals that give your body what it has always been capable of using. So here is what I want you to do. Tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, add 2 whole cloves to your coffee. Just that. Nothing complicated, nothing expensive. 2 cloves and the cup you were already going to make. Do it for 7 mornings. And then, and this is the part I genuinely want from you, come back to this channel and tell me what you noticed. Not just subscribe, come back. Leave a comment. Tell me which day was the one where something shifted. Tell me whether it was the energy, the focus, the digestion, the way the afternoon felt, or something quieter that you almost missed. Because this channel exists, because there are things that have been known for a very long time that most people in the modern world have forgotten. Every person who tries it and comes back to tell us what they noticed, you are adding to something real, so try it. Come back, tell me, and if this changed your morning, share it with someone whose morning needs changing too. We will see you next time, with something else that has been waiting in your kitchen for you to notice it.